Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's doing good. I see our Epic RV Adventures already in. So you just give it a few minutes for other people to join us here. There we go. Make sure my YouTube's muted. Hey, Michael, you want to jump up here for a minute? Give it a couple more minutes for more people to get in the room. Box Van D, one of the ladies in our community, is having a birthday party tonight, and so she's gone live, and she's got over 100 people in her stream right now. So I'm just going to give it a few minutes here.
Maybe.
How you doing?
This is John Bear. He is an amazing man.
He's He's an RVer. He travels. He
Can you
does
hear me, Michael?
POW-MIA research.
For some reason, I'm not getting any.
Yeah, mute the TV. So I'll turn it on here.
What's this? RV traveling.
Hey, we're working out some details here. Hang on, John. Can you hear me now?
There, I got you.
Yeah. Well, look.
Oh,
You're on the big screen. That's the WAG big screen too.
Oh, is it really? How's Dustin and Leslie doing?
I don't know.
Hi, John.
How's it going?
Good to see you, man.
I had the wrong button pushed on my podcast board here, so I wasn't hearing myself talk or hearing you guys talk. So I'm good to go now. So how's things going where you're at?
Well, I'm nursing a wound.
Uh-oh, what'd you do?
Not telling. You got to wait for the video because we honestly have video footage of this.
Oh, do you really?
It happened about, what, 2 hours ago?
Yeah, about that.
Hour and a half, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Was it a campfire incident?
No, they're actually starting the campfire right now.
I'm holding this up so I can't.
So do you travel back tomorrow then, or when do you head back home?
Yeah, we are parting ways tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Okay. So what is it, about a 5-hour drive for you?
No, for us it's like 2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours. Okay. Okay.
We don't want
Yeah, and Dustin and Leslie are going about an hour in a different direction.
So any word on has your house sold yet, or close, or?
We haven't put it up yet. We're still waiting for the air conditioner to get fixed, and still no word from the warranty company on approving the part yet. So,
oh, okay.
Hopefully soon.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah, we're down to the last few days. I'm actually moving stuff into the trailer as we speak. So
sweet.
Yeah. So it's looking pretty good. So I got some stuff to do inside the house before it actually sells, and but we're as of tonight, I'm considering us full time, but I'm just plugged into the shop right now.
Well, I've been considering us full time for the last 2 weeks since we're plugged in the backyard of the house most of the time, but we've been living in the RV because we had no AC.
Yeah, that would stink. How warm has it been there?
It's been mid to upper 80s.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the 90s now. So, and I just heard Jerry's going to come down to my neck of the woods, so I'm going to run over and see him at Moab.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of crowd you're going to get here tonight, my friend, because Box Vandy's birthday celebration is still going on.
Yeah, I seen that. I was watching some of it. She looked like a pretty good time. They had over 100 people in the room when I was over there.
Yeah, they had 100. They only had 100.
Was it 100? Only 100?
Well, earlier they were talking about they were expecting 300 to 400.
Oh, no kidding.
400 to 500. What's up, Blake?
Hey, Blake, how you doing, sir?
Blake, where are you at right now, buddy?
Well, I've got some good news coming up here in a little bit. Hopefully my daughter will be in here to join me here a little bit later, but it sounds like they're going to allow them to have their graduation and walk
I
the
saw that on your
stage.
Facebook page, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, made my wife pretty happy. I'll tell you that. Happy wife, happy life. So, so yeah, they get to have 4 guests, and so her grandparents are going to come up from New Mexico, and we'll be able to see her actually graduate. So we're excited.
Okay. Oh, Blake's in Ohio. We were just talking about Ohio, heading to PA.
Oh boy, yeah,
No,
that's right. He's got a quick trip up that way, from what I heard. He's supposed to get up there pretty quick. So. All right. Well, I just wanted to see how things were going with you guys, and bring you up for a minute to see if your house is sold yet.
Yeah, not yet. We're heading. Hopefully, we'll be able to put up on the market pretty soon. Hey, as soon as the air conditioner gets fixed, we're putting it on the market, and the realtor says expect multiple offers within 48 hours. So that's what we're hoping for. And we've already we've got some reservations made. We're meeting up with the WAGs again next month, or in about a month, a little over a month, and we're going to be start heading south.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good. So, you guys going to caravan together for a little while? Is that what's going on?
Off and on, probably. Off and on.
Well, good deal.
Well, I haven't been able to have. Dustin's been joined at my hip ever since we got here. I cannot even get a break. I can't even go to the bathroom without him. I mean, it's I don't know what to say. I mean, he's a nice guy and all, but really, I mean, he's a little clingy. You know what I'm saying?
Poor Dustin.
And worst part is he can't even start a fire. I mean, what kind of army dude is this guy? He can't even start a fire.
Well, he was a medic, see, so you got to cut him some slack.
He let the infantry guys start the fire for him.
That's exactly right. They took care of him, see.
So I'm really excited about your guest tonight. We're going to your text you sent me, and I told Dustin too. So we're excited to see this. So
yeah,
I think I saw him in there. So,
yeah, he's sitting here backstage.
We ready to light this candle, and I'll get out your way.
All righty. Well, it was good chatting with you, and
see you, my friend.
Thank you.
We got you on the big screen.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, see ya.
Bye. Hey, good evening, Scott Jacobs in Appreciation and Nursing Our Travel Bug, and Linda Baker. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, I'm going to bring in our next guest. 1 second here. Hey, Chris, how's it going, sir?
Hey, good evening, John. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining us on here tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, your mic sounds real good there. So, give us a little background about you. You're the owner of a veteran-owned small business, and I think you're located around Houston. Is that correct?
Just north of Houston in the Woodlands, yes, sir.
Into the Woodlands, yeah. Kind of give us your background. You're a military veteran. I think you served 13, 14 years?
Almost 14 years, John. I think the count was 13 years, 10 months, and 6 days, I believe, when I got out finally.
You got it right down to the day.
Right down to the day. Not that I was counting or anything. So I joined the Army in 2000, right after I graduated high school, and came in actually as a cook, a food service specialist. I did about, I want to say 4 years doing that, and then deployed for my first combat tour to Iraq in 2004, 2005, and they had already had everything set up logistically for us, so they didn't really need the cooks. And so, being a little bit of a hard charger myself, I volunteered to do patrols with one of the tank companies, and that led to me reclassing after that tour, going infantry, and spending the rest of my 13 years as an infantryman, squad leaders, section sergeant, team leader. Did 2 more tours to Iraq, and 3 years on the trail as a drill sergeant in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. One of the moderators I have here in the room, Dustin, he was a medic, and I think he did quite a few years. He retired as a first sergeant, I think. And, yeah, he spent a little stint as a drill instructor as well, from my understanding.
Yeah, that's a hard spot to get to as a medic. For their promotion points there forever was really difficult to make that rank. So good job on him.
Yeah. So, what got you into the coffee business? You got out, you retired, you went to college.
I got out in 2013. I went on terminal leave around August. I guess it was July or August, and I had 2 weeks before school started. I was already enrolled in a local community college here, Lone Star Community College, and went right into classes as a 34-year-old freshman, and started my college career with the intent of being a history teacher. And I picked up a part-time job instructing at a local firearms range, and doing that because that's what I did. That was my hobby. I shot a lot. I was training in the military. That was just a natural, good part-time job for me. After that, I went to Sam Houston State University and graduated. I ended up getting my bachelor's in right at 3 years. So I graduated early from the program, and at that point in time, my family was priority, or is priority, I should say, and I had a little girl that needed some special care. So we decided to make my role more the stay-at-home dad type, and that's kind of how I got into social media and marketing and video and photography, and it seems like 3,000 things that I do on a daily basis, John.
Yep. So you get to be a stay-at-home dad. I see you got your studio reworked there.
Yeah, I've been working on this brick wall and getting everything done for season 2. I have my own podcast, and season 1, I really wasn't ready to go with all the theatrical stuff that goes along with it. And I think I'm almost there. I've got a shelf coming in tomorrow that I've got to put up. But it's, I now have 2 little girls. I've got a 5-year-old, or almost, she's 5.5, and an almost 3-year-old. So they keep me on my toes most days. But my 5.5-year-old, she's actually on the spectrum. She was diagnosed with autism in December of 2017, I believe, somewhere around there. And that was my main mission, was getting her where she needed to go for her speech and for physical therapies and everything. And so I needed to be flexible. I needed to work from home.
Oh, well, that's pretty nice that and it's also kind of a good thing since this COVID thing hit all of us, and you've been able to spend a little time at home with the girls and do some fun things then.
The COVID, the biggest adjustment to that was my wife working from home. She called me up a week before everything started kicking off on that. She said, "Hey, we're starting to work from home on Monday. Can you set up the computer screens for me?" I was like, "Yeah, I can set your office up in the bedroom." It wasn't even an option, John. My office is a really nice size, especially when you compare it to an RV, I would think. But there was no way we could work in the same space. She's a pretty feisty character, I should say.
That's pretty cool.
To put up with me.
Yeah, that's everybody's on the, all our RVers, that's kind of our dream, is be able to work from home or work on the road. So that's kind of why I brought you on and talk a little bit about Roasters Marketplace and just that business model that you have.
Okay, yeah. So I got into social media and marketing, and I got recruited out of the range where I'd end up learning how to run a website, learning WordPress, learning social media, and that stuff. And I got recruited out by another company, and I've came up with the idea that you're always working, you're always hustling. So I was doing websites on the side of my other job, and I was introduced to specialty coffee. So I know you had asked me a couple questions on the email, and what typically people are used to when it comes to coffee is the nicest coffee they might have had is Starbucks, unless you went to a cafe or a local roaster or something like that. But that's typically, pretty much everybody's exposure to specialty coffee is that type of coffee. But in all actuality, there's a whole world that I had no idea existed of these small batch roasters, people who are roasting maybe in a garage setup or in a shop setup, or maybe they've got a storefront or a cafe that they're roasting in as well. But there's even a huge community of home roasters that roast coffee in modified popcorn poppers. You could roast coffee in the RV, John.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. That's pretty cool.
There's some really cool ones. There's one, I'll go on a whole tangent about it, but it's basically you roast on an open flame in a wire cage, and you turn it by hand, and you basically can roast a pot of coffee and then go make it. It's really cool.
It sounds like almost like a chili cooker or chili roaster with only smaller screen.
It looks exactly like a small chili cooker. You're exactly right.
That's pretty cool.
And you could probably, if the chili cooker mesh was a little bit finer, you could probably roast beans in a chili roaster.
Oh, that's crazy. That's pretty cool.
But so I got in and I was going to build a website for a company out of Guatemala. And the thing is, I don't know if you know, but coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world.
Yep.
Just behind oil. And for hundreds of years, there's been a coffee chain of logistics that has to go on. And it takes about 15 hands to get it from the grower to you, the in-state consumer. And each one of those hands want a piece of the pie. Yeah. Each one of those. And so what happens is there's only so much the market will pay for coffee, and that price usually gets pretty much taken out of what the grower wants for the coffee, and they end up getting 80 cents a pound. And then we turn around and we sell it for, $8 to $9 for regular, what they call commodity coffee, or specialty grade like we carry on the website is 12, 14, 15. They just had a geisha from Panama sell for $1,500 a pound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that it's like that with whiskey and scotch and mushrooms, truffles, and the
gold.
Gold. Yeah, the rarer something is, the more worth it is. The more value is in that, especially when people want it. And I see one of our comments says coffee is world fuel. It really, really is. You're talking about a significant amount of the world's population has coffee every day. And so this is all stuff that I've learned since I got into coffee and started looking at it and researching it and talking to the roasters. Because what I did when I started to look at building a website for this guy, I started doing the research and I started talking to these small batch roasters who would end up being my customers, and they all had cool stories. They were all, I'll use Tim for example. He's from Evansville, Indiana, and he owns Evansville Coffee. Tim was a IT guy for 40 years. He's been in computers his whole entire life. And when he got out, he wanted to do something that was totally different than that. they wanted to be, interaction, didn't want to be all technical about it. He wanted to roast coffee, and that's what he's doing. I've got another gentleman who was in the IT industry as well, but he's an Airstreamer, right?
Oh,
He's Rivet Coffee Company. I'll send you a link. He actually roasts in the same building that he has his Airstream parked in.
oh, no
And
kidding.
yeah, no kidding. And it's just a neat thing. Almost every one I talk to that are small still and what they call micro batch roasters, meaning that they're only roasting around, well, I think technical is anything less than 80,000 pounds a year is
Oh.
a micro roaster.
Right.
But everybody's got a cool story. And that kind of led me into building Roasters Marketplace, which is an e-commerce solution for finding these small batch roasters that if you don't know their name, you're not going to find them. You can't just, you jump on Google and you type in small batch coffee and your whole entire feed is going to be the big companies. The big companies that, like Pete's. Pete's is actually owned by a German company that has like $40 billion worth of businesses under it a year. It's a huge multinational company.
Wow.
And you don't find Rivet Coffee on the front page unless they're paying, or unless you know the name of it. And that's why I started building my website. Is I wanted a place where you could go and you could find all these little roasters and get their coffee and get it at a good price and get it as fresh as possible, because that's the key.
Yeah. And so what kind of different coffees now? You've got them from all over the country, all over the world. Give us kind of a rundown of all the different countries that you've got coffee on your website.
Okay, off the top of my head, here we go. We've got if you're talking, let's start off with the A's here. From Africa, we've got Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, which is a huge contributor. Actually, the birthplace of coffee is Ethiopia. That's where it originated at. We've got Tanzanian, I think I already said Ugandan, Burundi. I don't know if I've got anything from Madagascar or not on the website. There's just a whole bunch. There's if you think about it, everything between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn is a coffee producing area. In North America, we actually have, if you want to count Hawaii in there, Hawaii's is our only coffee producing state on a commercial level. They're actually growing coffee in California now in a very, very geographically narrow area that's actually only on one farm, just because how its microclimate is. But coffee likes the tropics. It likes to be close to the equator, and it likes elevation to get really good quality coffee.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing one there that I really want to try, and that's that whiskey barrel aged Guatemalan coffee.
And that one from Muddy Joe's actually DJ. He's another veteran. He was in the Navy for a while and got out, and he's roasting coffee on the side as well. So that's one of the cool things about the website is I can go in and you name one of the roasters or you name one of the products, and I can tell you a little bit about them or where they've been or what their real job is, if they've got another side hustle or if the coffee's the side hustle on them. But it's a lot of fun to go on and try a new coffee. That's my thing right now, is trying something that I've never had before. Like 2 weeks ago, I had a coffee from Vietnam, and Vietnam is actually one of the world's largest producers of coffee, but they don't produce the coffee that we typically buy in the States. They produce what they call Robusta is the brand of the type of coffee bean they produce there. And it's got a lot of caffeine, but it doesn't have a lot of flavor. But this was specialty grade Arabica, which is what we like here in the States, and most of the country or most of the world drinks the specialty grade Arabica. And that is what was actually grown in Vietnam at a small farm. Most of our products that we can trace back to the farm, if not the farmer. And it's really cool to be able to go from what they call from seed to cup.
Yeah, it's like farm to fork, seed to cup. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I see you have your website broken out by, you know, the coffee by origin, or you can shop by the roast level. I'm a kind of a medium roast guy, so that looks pretty cool. And then you have memberships. Now tell us a little bit about your memberships.
Memberships are pretty simple. So what the membership allows you to do is qualify for free shipping for all your products that you order. So instead of paying that $5 for shipping when you order something, it's included in your membership. So memberships, as you can see, are right there on the website. They're pretty cheap. I think $1 a month is what we got. But you know, you mentioned about the business side of it, and we can talk about that just a little bit. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, and you look at companies that offer memberships to their websites, and you look at them and you're like, well, what are you actually getting? What are you actually getting for that dollar? Why are you charging $1 for this? Or what's the goal? You can take most of my members. So I've got 67 or 68 members as of today. When you take it from a business standpoint, and that membership goes through, and John, you get charged $1 and you see it pop up on your account, that's one more reminder that you need to get coffee. And usually within 24 to 48 hours of somebody's membership going through, they buy some coffee. They buy 2 or 3 bags. That's one thing that is really cool about the website is most of the time, if you would go to a different website or one of the roasters' websites, you're going to pay for shipping. That's just how it works. You're going to pay for shipping unless you order $30 or $40 or $50 worth of coffee. And then if you want to try another roaster, you're going to have to go to their website, and you're going to have to pay for shipping again. So with my website, excuse me, the water's getting me. We had grilled pork chops tonight for dinner.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That's really good. But you know, you go on most websites, you have to pay for shipping for every bag of coffee. With my website, you don't, because since how I'm running it, we've narrowed down and I've eliminated a lot of my cost. And so that shipping charge, instead of you paying 15 or 16 or 20 bucks to get 4 different bags from 4 different roasters at one time, if you're a member, that's that $1 a month that you pay has covered it.
Right.
And so it's pretty cool, that aspect of it. And when I first started from a business standpoint, I didn't realize that is how shoppers were going to use my website. You know, I'd researched coffee, I'd looked at it, I'd went and bought coffee on my own on different websites, and it was really cool. But I was buying 1 bag here, 1 bag there, and 1 bag at another place. Well, most of my orders are for 2 to 3 bags from 2 to 3 different roasters. So people go on, they pick out 3 bags that they want, and they order it, and then the coffee's roasted, packaged, shipped to wherever you're at. Typically, I can get a bag of coffee from Florida to Seattle, clear across the states, in about 4 days with standard shipping.
Oh, that ain't bad at all.
No. And that was pre-COVID. Sometimes we get lucky. You know, now you might hit a black hole somewhere between Florida and Seattle, and it takes a few days extra, but it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, one of our guys in the chat room here, Daydream About Nice Things, Gary, he hosts a morning coffee talk every morning.
Oh, nice.
He'll have to hook you up and get you on his stream sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's one of our biggest coffee drinkers in the room. So,
well, nice to meet you. You said Gary?
Yeah, it's Gary. Daydream About Nice Things.
Okay, I got him on here. I see him.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you, John, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do y'all do when you're on the road do y'all pick up stuff from different mailboxes? Do y'all how do you get stuff shipped? How's that work?
A lot of us, the full-time community, there's different mailbox companies that you can run your domiciles through, like down there in Livingston, Texas, through escapees. So we have an address that you can send things to, and it's actually our residential address, and then they receive it there at their facility, and we just have them forward our mail to wherever we're located at the time. So like if we're traveling from RV park to RV park or whatever, we'll just pick the next park that we're going to be at and that'll accept shipments, and we'll just have it shipped there. And so it's there when we arrive or while we're there.
Okay.
So yeah, they have them in South Dakota, Texas, Florida, these different companies, mailbox companies.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm trying to figure out how I can help y'all out. That always sounds like a challenge to, spending enough time in the military and bouncing around. It's always,
Yeah.
saving addresses and go back through. And I think I did a background check one time by pulling up all my addresses on Amazon to see where I had lived. But you can definitely go on the website and save. You can save your one address, I think, on there on the account, and then you can always do ship to a different address. So if you knew you were going to be at that next RV park, you could go in there and put that next RV park in the shipping. That way you're not having to ship it to two different places, because that's always takes time. And
it'll be a couple weeks down the road before you see it.
Yeah, when you're talking about coffee, you've typically got a window of about 3 weeks before you start losing its freshness. What we talk about, that fresh window. If you think about bread, coffee's just like bread. Coffee will go stale if it's not packaged properly, or if it's too old. It will not taste as good or have as good as an aroma when you cook it, or when you brew it. Excuse me.
Right. So now you're going to have I was listening to one of your podcasts the other night, and you talked about Roasters Marketplace is going to have its own little podcast, and you're going to kind of separate the Common Grounds podcast.
We're still going to do the Common Grounds podcast. I'm starting a Roasters Marketplace YouTube channel, which is one of the reasons for this whole thing behind me, just so I can separate the two different channels out when it comes down to SEO and search engine optimization. If I have a interview show like me and you're doing here, and then I turn around and start brewing coffee and walk through using a French press or a pour over, that actually hurts your SEO whenever you have a bunch of stuff that's too different on a channel sometimes.
And I see, I was just wanted to pull up your Common Grounds podcast off your website too there. And so you go through Buzzsprout, correct?
Oh yeah.
That's who I have too for our podcast. That's pretty cool. I love Buzzsprout and what they do for us.
Buzzsprout, and I use StreamYard as well. As if you scroll down far enough on there, John, you'll see an interview with Gage that I had back in when I first kicked off the channel. On the podcast. So I interviewed him, one of the founders of StreamYard, a few months ago. I think right when COVID-19 started up, when we had our interview.
Yeah, and it's this whole community, we pretty much all use StreamYard. That's pretty cool. So is there any new technology they're going to come out with? Have you heard, or any little secrets they haven't announced to us?
I'm really interested in when we can upgrade the cameras to 1080. I think that'll be really cool. If we get some stuff where we're, have a few more guests backstage, I think we'd have 10 backstage and 6 live.
Right.
I plan on doing some. In fact, I'm going to send you an invite when we do it. I plan on doing a series to where there's co-hosts. And so the co-host can get on and ask questions too, because you might have a different question than me when we're talking to, a coffee farmer or a world champion home brewer. Did you even know that existed? They have home brewing championships, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, coffee's a big world, John. It is definitely interesting with the depth and breadth of it. and what you can get into, and just the different, way in your coffee or how your coffee was processed. Everything makes a difference, and it is a fun thing to get into that's not too expensive, and it tastes good.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners? Anything, about Common Grounds or the podcast, and just anything you want anybody to know? And
do you have some more coffee? I know you mentioned a couple things on in my email, which is on on my other computer here. But do you have any specific coffee questions for me?
just now do you do the, like on your memberships now, you can just kind of tailor those to like the different origins and have them shipped out on a scheduled type basis, right?
So on the subscriptions, yeah, we have some of the subscriptions that we started off, and we had a monthly subscription that was called the Roaster's Choice, and that was just a different roaster every month. And then I had people ask, hey Chris, we want something that is, we want a bi-weekly subscription, something we get every other week, but we only want dark roasts, or we only want medium roast. And so I launched the dark roast and the medium roast and the light roast subscriptions here a couple weeks ago, and now those are my biggest sellers. I think every Sunday the orders go through automatically through the website. Then Monday morning I process the shipping orders and the shipments, and I send those out to the roasters. Then there's actually orders probably being roasted right now, and we'll hit the mailbox on Tuesday. And so it's pretty cool that now, my subscribers to those subscriptions, they're going to get a different roast, a different medium roast, or a different dark roast every other week from a different roaster, typically from a different origin as well. And then it's a really delicious cycle you start getting into.
Yeah. Boy, we got some people excited here about coffee. He says he can't smell, but his taster works. Overdrive with a good cup of coffee. Gary's fun to watch in the mornings on his little coffee chat.
That's awesome. I'll have to tune into it. What time is it usually? Is it every day?
I don't know, Gary. What time's your show usually come on in the mornings? I know you kind of vary every once in a while. We'll see if we got that 30-second lag there.
Yeah, it'll be a minute. It'll be a second or two.
Yeah. So anyway, well, on the Common Grounds podcast, kind of give us some of the topics you like to, that you kind of go over with your guests. I know you interviewed the actual growers in some cases.
Yep, I interviewed Abigail. Actually, Abigail is she's from Arkansas originally, and she's living in Guatemala. She's working for a company called Chica Bean, and it's a conglomerate of women-owned farmers or women-owned farms. And what they do is they raise specialty coffee, and the difference in that is life-changing for them. Really, when you're talking about that, they can cut out all the middlemen and sell directly to the customer. So you could go on their website and buy it, or you can go on my website and buy it. You're now talking about them getting, probably the farmer, when it's all said and done, they're probably getting $8 to $10 out of that purchase instead of $2.
Oh, okay.
And so then when you're talking about, $4, $6, that's not that much. When you're talking about 40 to 60,000 pounds, you're talking about a life-changing thing that they can do by being able to get hundreds of thousands of dollars for that crop, as opposed to 60, and that's supposed to turn around and let them plant it next year again. And that's what the problem is with a lot of coffee is. And then you got, mission work down in Guatemala. That's exactly how Abby got down there and involved with that. It's that whole area, is it cost them usually $1 between 86 cents. I think it was when the last time I looked at it, between 86 cents and $1.05 to raise a pound of coffee.
Oh, wow.
Well, if they're only getting paid $1.20 for that pound of coffee,
Yeah, there ain't much in it.
there ain't much in it. And so what they do is they change. There's a lot of coffee farmers that are switching to different crops. Cacao. They're doing cardamom. There's just different crops that they're doing now. So a lot of that is changing. But so a lot of other farms that can invest in specialty and high grade coffee, they can get $4, $6, $8, $10, $1,500 a pound, for this coffee, and that's truly a life-changing experience for them. And that's one of the things I do with my roasters is when I start talking or looking at a new roaster to be on the website, I find out how they source their coffee. Where do they get it from? Okay, are you doing responsible practices? There's a couple different terms for it. Fair trade, you'll see that term a lot thrown around, and that's really, really not the fairest method. I mean, somebody's paying to be certified for it. But you'll get to see direct trade, typically something that is a better deal for the farmer. That way there's maybe one or two hands touching it before it actually gets to the roaster. So it's definitely an interesting industry that I had no idea existed, and it is growing every year. There's more coffee drinkers every year, and the specialty coffee industry is growing as well. We make up about 60 to 80%, depending on where you're getting your numbers from, of all the coffee drank in the United States at this point is what they call specialty coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gary has a question. He says, can they buy a trial pack without having to subscribe?
Oh, definitely. And you know what? I'll send you a coupon code. That way you can put up in the comments. But you can buy anything on the website and not be a subscriber. We'll get you a coupon code. That way you can, you can get shipping on your first order for free. And that's typically what we do. Is your first order will ship for free with a coupon code, and then once you're happy with it, usually that $1 is your next purchase. You become a member, but you don't have to subscribe to a coffee to get coffee. That's for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, because there's
an email here.
I don't think I sent you that yet. I'll have to actually.
Okay.
If you bear with me, right?
I can yeah, if you want to send it now, or I can pin it down in the comments after the show too.
Let me build it for you right quick. I'm fast at this. If I was on my other computer, I've set up my laptop here in my on a desk in the corner of my office, so you don't see everything else that I'm doing. But give me 1 second here, and I can't see anymore, so give me one.
Yeah, no problem.
Do a lot of your listeners do they still work from the road? Is that what?
Yeah, there's a lot of
retirees,
a lot of retired veterans, and a lot of retirees, and then there's also those that work from the road, have different remote jobs, and they just travel around and do their work, and on their days off they explore.
That's awesome. I've got a couple friends here. So let me see here. Your coupon code is going to be EPIC RV. One word.
Oh, there we go. Michael, at our Epic RV adventure, it's going to be named after you, Epic RV.
Oh, well, that was what I was. Yeah, that'll work for right now. Sorry about that, John. That's what I pulled up the screen and could see there. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
Here we go. Yeah, Epic RV. We just plugged the what'd you call them? The town channel. I watched an episode. What do you call the ones with the big following?
Oh, the epic channels.
Yeah, the big ones.
Yeah, the epic channel. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we teased Michael when he comes on the live stream that it's going to be one of the big, huge, epic channels coming on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's you don't have to be a subscriber. The shipping, you don't have to subscribe to a certain coffee to get it. There's a lot of websites out there that do that just because how shipping is the biggest overhead. That's my biggest cost every month almost is, I spent, 15 orders went out this morning, and each one of those orders cost me anywhere from $5 to $7 to ship.
Oh yeah.
So that's my biggest cost is shipping. But it is definitely interesting. So if I would encourage your RVers, if y'all are hitting farmers markets or local markets, to see who in town is your local coffee roaster and grab some mega channel. There you go. It's a mega channel. Happy Place Diaries. There we go.
Oh, sorry, my camera kind of went dead there.
We lost you.
Yeah, just 1 second. Keep going. I'm good here.
Okay, but yeah, it's I would encourage your viewers and your listeners to go and find a local coffee roaster, and if they've never had fresh roasted coffee before, it's going to be good. That's that's a lot of the things that we don't have. Where you at, Daydream? Where you at? Where you located? I see your comment. There we go.
Yeah, just switch to the laptop camera.
Nice. You got 2 cameras set up? Is that what you're running?
Yeah,
typically?
actually, I just got set up with a video capture card, and I was actually streaming through my GoPro.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, Hero 7. So yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't sure how the battery life was on it, but I have it plugged in, so I'm not sure why the battery went down.
Those batteries, it was probably out just a millimeter, and it just I have that problem all the time. I just got a new GoPro charger in the floor that come in today. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat little setup. So yeah, it's a little video capture card that I think I did a video on it the other day. But it runs through the video capture card with HDMI to mini HDMI. And I actually has a port going out that I could actually run it to a TV and actually stream to the TV while we're doing it too, or anything behind you. If you have like a monitor or something that you want to put it behind you, you can stream to it as well. And it, like I said, it just all runs straight through the GoPro.
Okay, I might end up. I've got to figure out this new setup here because I can't move my other computer. I've got a monster I got 3 27-inch screens over there that I can't move. Is not moving over here for sure. But it looks like Rainsville, Alabama. Daydream, I'm going to find you a coffee roaster close to you. I know I've got 2 in Florida right now. That's kind of sort of in that neck of the woods, but I bet you got one. You just don't know where he's at.
Right.
Yeah, because there's used to, that was the thing, coffee, because of your geographical location and how it worked, you would have coffee roasters locally around the United States. And that happened up until what they call the second wave of coffee, the second generation of coffee. And that's when everybody started getting the Folgers in a can, or the Maxwell House in a can, or the Taster's Choice, instant dehydrated coffee water.
Exactly, which I'm drinking right now.
Hey, it works. It works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Works
that's
in a pinch.
That's one of the new things actually that they've come out with is specialty grade dehydrated or freeze dried coffee. And so there's a couple companies out there doing that, making really high quality coffee. But there's some really cool things that you can get for your RV that make coffee that don't take up a lot of room, because I know space is a premium, right?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a premium. And I wonder if they're going to take that new freeze dried stuff and put it in the military MREs.
No way. Not the price tag that they've got on that stuff. No, there's a thing called an AeroPress, and I should have brought my AeroPress, but I mean, it's essentially it's a coffee syringe. So you take and you put your grounds in it, you put your water in it, you put the lid on it and with the filter, and then you just put it over the top of your cup and press.
Press it in.
And it is a backpackers. That's what you see most people use and to make really good coffee. And it's really, really good coffee. Then you got your French presses and your Chemexes and all that crazy good stuff. So
yeah, Jerry at Happy Place Diaries, he's up in Oregon. Oregon. So,
oh yeah.
He says, there's roasters in every neighborhood up here in the Northwest.
I've got two roasters in Portland right now. I think I got two in Portland, because what they do a lot of times is they basically rent time on a coffee roasting machine, because these coffee roasting machines might as well be an RV. I mean, they're expensive for the larger volume ones, and people do that. They rent out time on the machine, and they go in and they roast their orders. And so you might have 15 or 20 guys all using the same roaster on different nights of the week or different days of the week. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty neat. I wonder if they do that with whiskey stills. No, just joking.
You get into that whole thing, and they do that. They will. I actually had a guy from Small Batch Matters as a whiskey, Scotch whiskey, or American Scotch whiskey podcast that I had on the show. And, some of those places do that. They take blended whiskeys from other places and they mix them into their own blend. And then you have it, because, a new whiskey guy who was founded last year, sure as heck isn't going to have a 20-year-old rye to offer.
Yep.
So they do that. It's kind of the same.
Well, cool deal. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I got a few minutes left here. I got a couple more things to get on to, and I'd love to have you back on sometime and talk about the different, like the coffee presses and everything else.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty
definitely,
interesting.
John.
And there's a lot of our listeners here that actually go out backpacking and camping and do remote type of RVing and things like that off the grid. So that would kind of fit right into their scheme of things. So I'm more of a glamper here lately with the wife. So we got to have our hookups.
My wife her idea of camping is, I think we just rented a 5-bedroom house down on Mustang Island down in Corpus for our vacation in August. So that's my wife's camping on the beach.
Nice.
So I appreciate you having me on, John. And I'll get you your own code, and you can post it on the comics. So.
Oh, I will. I definitely will. I'll get it pinned to the comments there, and I'll even put it out on one of my podcasts.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, and is anybody wants to get in touch with you, the best way is through the website roastersmarketplace.com or
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we're there.
Oh, looks like we're gonna hook you up here. Daydream wants you on his live stream.
Awesome.
So yeah, he runs a great live stream in the mornings. So
that's fantastic. I'll be able to do it too, as long as the babies are still asleep. They're not too crazy in the mornings. But
yeah, he's Eastern time, so it'll be a little bit earlier for you.
Too easy. I'm up at between 5:30 and 4 and 5:30 every morning. That's why I need the coffee. And John, I just want to reach out and thank you for your work that you're doing with the MIA. I watched a couple of your episodes, and that is some truly noble work that you're doing through there. And as a veteran, we definitely appreciate it.
Oh, I thank you for the kind words there. Yeah, it's I'm a kind of a history buff, and I had an uncle that served over there in the Philippines and died as a POW, and that really got me into what I'm doing. So yeah, well, I appreciate it. And again, if everybody would like to visit your website, stop by there, visit him, get a bag of coffee, and let me know how it is. I know I'm going to get a bag too, and I'll go ahead and post the promo code down in the bottom in the comments. So our listeners can go in there and take advantage of it.
I appreciate it, John. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate it too, sir.
Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, Chris, for coming on. I really appreciate that. That was a good little interview that we had there with Chris and his veteran-owned small business, and I hope everybody takes a minute, goes over there and visits him, and Gary, get him on your live stream. Well, my next thing is I'm going to have my daughter come up here for a couple minutes, and we're going to talk about her high school graduation coming up. Get her up here for a sec. While she's getting on here real quick, I'm going to go ahead and play real quickly Last Letters Home from a POW-MIA. I wanted to share a podcast that I had done here a while back. Let me get it all pulled up here. But this is a last letter home from First Lieutenant Carol I. Calhoun. One second. And it ain't going to let me do that. One second. Sorry about that. I didn't have everything prepped here. And it's not letting me do that. So, no. There it is. Oh. All right.
Number of letters that he had sent, not only to my father and to his sister, but also to his mother. I am so grateful to not only my father, but their mother, who saved these letters, but also the sisters of both boys who were ultimately clearly killed in World War II, who saved them all these years. And I feel so honored to be able to read them, because it's really through those letters that I've gotten to know Cal Calhoun on a more personal basis. I know his record. I've fortunately been able to get his individual deceased personnel file from the Army a few years ago, actually. So I knew that, but I didn't know him personally. And he was a character. He described his journeys across on the U.S. Grant. He described his impressions of the Philippines, and particularly his impressions of the land and of the Philippine Scouts. There are a number of quotes that, if we have time, I'd like to read to you some, because they just, I think, exemplify the incredible training and culture of the Philippine Scouts.
Oh yeah, we've got time if you want to read some of them, definitely.
Well, all right, while I'm telling you this, let me see if I can kind of find a little bit of them. All right, here we go. What she did, their mother, is save these letters, and so most of them are addressed Dear Mom. Here is one that he wrote to his mom. I'm just going to quote a few of them, and just because I think they're beautifully descriptive of the Philippines in early 1941. Dear Mom, here are a few snapshots that might interest you. This place is almost like a summer resort. It's everything I imagined, including hot. Traffic drives on the left side here, which is rather confusing. Cars also have the steering wheel on the right side. Orchids grow wild here. Beautiful flowers of all descriptions grow here the year round, and the singing birds never go south. Native Filipinos wear as little as possible. Shoes are considered a nuisance. Older children are required by law to be at least half covered. They are, the top half. Young ones go naked. Everyone sleeps an hour or two after lunch, siesta time, and no one ever hurries. Time is of no importance. Something that strikes me as novel is the length of time Filipinos have to work at anything before he is considered worthwhile. One of the officers was helping me select a cook yesterday. He asked his own houseboy if the prospective cook was any good. His houseboy shrugged his shoulder and replied, "Maybe so. I don't think so. He only cooked 15 years." The Filipino usually serves 21 years in the Philippine Scouts before he is made sergeant. About a week ago, a buck private with 8 years service was promoted to first class private. His friends think he's either a genius or the American officers are getting very lax. Write me everything you can think of. Love, Cal. Here's another one. This is a shorter segment. We have an excellent regimental CO. The morale of both officers and men is very high. Philippine Scout soldiers is a saluting demon. They are very loyal and would do almost anything for their officers. They are very serious in their work. You cannot joke with them like you can with an American soldier. There's what he talks about the headhunters, but let's see. He's also mentioning that he's learning to speak the language Tagalog, and he put some Tagalog phrases in his letter that he sent back. And this is from the last letter that he wrote. The temperature got down to 90 degrees here last night and caused quite a sensation. Some people actually threatened to wear pajamas to bed.
Oh, man.
People in the United States are probably all worried about the Japs taking the Philippines. We inhabitants of this forsaken tropical paradise don't even give it a second thought. Palam na pagagayan. And I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right. Goodbye now. Right soon. Yours, Cal.
Yeah, that was the last letters home from First Lieutenant Caroline Calhoun, who grew up in a ranching family on the rangeland of Idaho. He was originally a member of the Idaho National Guard and later joined the U.S. Army in California. First Lieutenant Calhoun was assigned to the 26th Cavalry Regiment, one of the officers in charge of the Scout Car Platoon. The Scout Car Platoon was responsible for the transportation of men and supplies using light armored cars and trucks. Unfortunately, First Lieutenant Calhoun was killed in action on 7 January 1942 near Laylac Junction on the Bataan Peninsula. Laylac Junction was one of the first lines of defense against the Japanese ground forces on Bataan and provided a huge delaying action for General Douglas MacArthur to reorganize a better defense on the Bataan Peninsula. Early on the morning of 7 January 1942, his Scout Car Platoon had departed from Laylac Junction and was ambushed soon after at a nearby village. The unit returned fire, but the Japanese was able to detonate a mortar shell against the convoy, and First Lieutenant Calhoun and one other American officer were killed in action and later listed as missing in action. The good news is, well, the bad news at the time was their remains were not located following the incident, and both were still listed as unaccounted for. After the war, there were American remains that were recovered from that area but not identified, and they were buried as unknowns at the Manila American Cemetery. The good news is that First Lieutenant Calhoun's, the remains associated with him and the other officer have been identified in the sense that their possible remains have been disinterred from Manila and sent to the DPAA lab in Hawaii, and they're awaiting identification. And the gentleman that was reading us the last letters home about his Uncle Cal, his father, well, the gentleman that was reading it to us was Cal Boardman, or Cal Calhoun Boardman. Cal's father was actually in the Army as well, And Cal's father was killed in action over in France in World War II and is buried at the Epinal American Cemetery. And so Cal was adopted by the Boardman family, and he done some great research on his uncle, who was listed as missing in action. And Cal has written a book, and it's called The Quest. And I will have Cal on with us here in a few weeks. Cal's going to come on and talk about his uncle and the search for his uncle and the book. But I will post a link to the book down below too. You can get it. It's available on Amazon. And basically it's just a book about the mysteries of the 26th Cavalry's Philippine Scouts, this Philippine Scout car platoon, and his search for getting his uncle identified and brought home. So it's a pretty cool, really cool read. And I am mentioned in the book about some of the support that I have given him and some other researchers that helped him be able to kind of isolate the area where his uncle was killed and kind of tie it back to the two graves at Manila to get them disinterred. But next, I just want to bring on real quick my daughter, Kirsten. You can kind of see her here in the background. We're going to share the microphone since I didn't get her wireless one set up in time. But this is my daughter, Kirsten. She's just turned 18 years old in February, and she thinks she's an adult now and kind of tries to act like it, but that's okay.
I am legally an adult, so.
Yeah, and the nice thing that I just saw come in the mail the other day was your voter
my
cards.
Election ballot.
Yeah, your election ballot. So this is her first big election.
It sucks. I hate being in this election.
Right.
This has been like the worst start to an election. Like I would have preferred any other year. Like I don't know, 2012 seemed kind of fun. 2016 was a mess, but this looks even worse.
So do they call you the COVID kids, or what do they call you since you know your graduation almost didn't happen?
No, the only thing that Palisade ever got called was the plague starters when we had the norovirus, and we were the ones to accidentally spread it across the entire county and shut down almost all of the schools before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think that was actually the COVID virus that actually ran around a little bit early.
It was Noro. I'm pretty sure it was Noro. I know because I suffered through it.
Yeah, you brought it home to me.
No, I was the one that suffered through it. You may have caught a little bit of it, but I had a solid, awful night. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's weird that twice in 1 year my school was shut down because of a virus.
Yeah. So,
twice.
Yeah, twice.
In 1 year.
Yeah, twice in 1 year. And this last time it was shut down permanently. And I'm not even sure if they're going to even open much of it up here next year. And thank God you're not going to school there next year, but you're off to college.
Yeah. And even still, we don't really get in-person classes coming. They're doing a whole half online. And if you're doing like labs or if you're having studio classes, then it'll be met in person on campus. But most of them are going to be off of Zoom and other platforms like that.
Yeah. So I got an email this morning that they're going to go ahead and allow you to walk the stage for your graduation on July 10th. Mm-hmm. So your mom's happy wife, happy life. So
yeah, July 10th, and then I have practice the day before.
Practice for what?
Grad. We're just gonna do the ceremony and see which goes which and see if we're going to do social distance setting or
I see.
We might get masks. I hope we get our stoles eventually. We didn't get them because it was shut down because of coronavirus, the manufacturer making them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have to wait for more of our graduation stuff.
And from what I understand, you're going to be the one to get to sing the national anthem for the graduation.
Our group in Popular Acclaim is going to be singing the national anthem. I'm not sure how many of us are going to be due to some leaving for vacation and others just unable to make it, moving and all. But yeah, I'm excited to sing with my group one last time officially. I didn't even realize the last time I was singing with them was going to be the last time before
Right.
spring break.
Yeah.
And we never got to finish out our festivals. We didn't get to go to Colorado Springs, Rifle. We didn't get to do our local events that we dominate at. We do. I mean, we're top 4A jazz and show and outstanding men's, women's. Yeah. The entire wall, plaques.
Nice.
And I'm up there, fun fact.
Yeah.
I'm forever, for as long as our teacher still stays at the school, I'll be up on the wall for my All-State.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So you head off to college. When's that going to kick off? When's that start?
August 15th is
Nice.
the first day of college.
So yeah, kind of mine and Shannon's plans are well, Kirsten too. We'll go down to New Mexico for a little while there, and then we'll take Kirsten back up to college in middle of August, and then
Go from there.
Mom and I are empty nesters.
Woo. I get to be even more independent. I guess my whole life I've kind of just been independent, so.
Yeah. If everybody looks at the comments, Chris had posted that code for the coffee. It's RVMIA. So if you go to his website, use that code, and I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on again, Chris. Hey, Jerry, Holly, good to have you in here, sir.
Hello.
So, what do you think your first year at college is going to be like?
I mean, not at all what I expected. None of this past year has been like what I've expected. I doubt college will be at all what I wanted it to be, I guess. I mean, we're not doing in-person classes, or I'm not sure how many in-person classes I'll have, considering the route I want to go. So,
Well, if they're not having in-person classes, you should just go on the road this next year with Mom and I and just do it online.
I really learned how much I suck at doing online by myself. Turns out, without structure of a classroom, some of us really fall apart.
Yeah, you did pretty good your last, through the COVID thing and doing your online stuff. I checked on your work.
It took a lot of willpower to get to that point. A lot of talking myself up and
talking yourself out of getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, getting up. Or even when I'm like on my computer, opening up the tabs that need to be opened up in order to go do my work in the first place. So, and, freaking out the night before everything's due. Yeah. And I mean, our AP test was just awful. And I did the AP US history test this past year. And it really made me realize how much of a monopoly College Board has over our education system.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for kids who are doing AP classes. I mean, there's some kids I know taking 4 or 5 courses, and they're $100 per test.
Yeah.
And what I found was weird is they didn't refund me back some of my money because I basically lost an entire multiple choice section of the test. So all they were going to grade me on is a document-based question essay, and that's about 6 or 7 paragraphs. They give you 45 minutes to review 6 documents and, write these paragraphs of at least 3 of the documents relating back to your thesis and your whole paragraph, giving you context to what you're talking about and all of this. And they really want you to write this in 45 minutes and read in the same time all those 6 documents. And yeah, and even still, 500,000 of us taking it and a 2% submission fail rate off the bat. That's not even accounting for people's bad internet connection. And a lot of kids got really screwed out of their College Board test. And it's really hard to think that this one DBQ comes down to all of our college credit that I spent so long, researching so many topics or, looking into so many different events in U.S. history just to have it come down to one question on Manifest Destiny.
Yeah. So you're going
Allegedly.
You're going to go ahead and be a history major, correct?
Yeah. Also, I got to say allegedly on mine because I don't want College Board coming for me.
Right.
I don't want College Board to, find me out back and beat my knees in with a pole for sharing information. Allegedly.
Right.
But yeah, I am looking at the history route for college. I found it's something that I could always look into and never get bored of, or there's just so much to look at in the entire history of the world. I mean, billions of years, and we can't even understand it all.
No.
And not even close, not even scratching the surface.
But I couldn't get you interested in World War II history. That was unfortunate.
No, I am interested in World War II history. I just think, again, there's 5,000 years worth of recorded human history, and I don't want to just focus on events that happened to transpire between 1939 and 1945. Specifically. I think it's all interesting, in all respect to people who have chosen to look specifically into that field. It's hard work no matter what, but I think there is a lot of history out there that deserves just as much love and just as much spotlight.
Yeah.
And I mean, history is what makes us all equal.
It does. What are your thoughts about, I don't want to get too political here, but
oh Lord,
just real quick, what are your thoughts about, and I know you're kind of like me, I'm kind of middle ground. I'm not right and I'm not left. I'm kind of take my slot down the middle a little bit on some things, but what are your thoughts about them tearing down some of this historical monuments and statues and things like that?
I think it's a shame, really. No matter who you are as a person, if you've impacted history positively, negatively, or neutrally, you shouldn't be wiped from history. I mean, especially the people who have done bad. They serve as reminders of what we are capable as humans and what we need to rise above. And I feel like that's really hard for people to realize, and especially the significance that it holds. I don't agree tearing down statues of Confederate soldiers or generals, or tearing down statues of Karl Marx, or any of these historical figures, because as much as we may not like them, they are essentially why we are who we are today.
That's exactly right. It's what made America what America is today, and that was my whole thing against it too. So, well, I guess we've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes, so we're close to an hour and 17. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off, and I want to say thank you to everybody for coming on tonight and joining us. And Chris, I really, if you're still in the room there, I really appreciate you coming on and telling us about your veteran-owned small business and giving us the opportunity to learn more about coffee. There's a lot that goes into coffee, and I didn't realize there was much as there is until I started listening to your podcast and watching your YouTube videos and your interviews. It's a really interesting subject to me. It's my first favorite drink in the morning or in the evenings, and I'm definitely going to be making a couple orders here. So Chris is giving us a coupon code there for free shipping on our first order. So if everybody would like to use that code, it's RVMIA, and please use that code and get your first shipment. And I'm glad to see that Chris is kind of hooked up with Gary there for maybe Gary's morning live stream. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. And I'm not sure if anybody's coming on later tonight for their late night, but if Jerry's on later tonight, I'll join you on there. And we hope to see you all again soon. We'll be back on next month, 2 weeks from today. And hopefully I should have a pretty good interview going on our next live stream with POW-MIA family. I've got a couple in the works here. So hope you can join us then. And thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a good evening.